After fighting a long, perilous battle to earn their spot in society, women in the 20th century led the charge in progressive movements such as achieving equal pay and work opportunities as men. Unfortunately, however, these opportunities sometimes arose in extremely harsh locations, like the Triangle Shirtwaist Company factory, a garments factory participating in the largely corrupt garments industry in New York, whose main product was a popular women's blouse. Located on the top three floors of the Ash Building in Manhattan, New York, the Triangle Shirtwaist Company fit the idea of sweatshop to the T. The majority of workers in the factory were teenage European immigrant women, largely of Italian and Jewish origin with little to no ability to speak English, thus allowing the owners to exploit their ignorance and desperation for money. The building contained four elevators to the factory, of which only one was functional. Narrow corridors, a far too narrow fire escape, and only two stairways leading out of the building. One locked from the outside and the others only opening inwards to prevent early departure. Also, the two owners, Max Blanc and Isaac Harris, refused to install sprinkler systems in order to collect fire insurance policies in the event that the factory burned down, a harshly surreal dose of foreshadowing. On the afternoon of March 25th, 1911, these hazardous parts of a destructive whole met in a horrible conglomeration. As 600 women nearly reached the end of their day, a small fire started in a rag bin, which the manager tried to extinguish with a hose, but failed because it was rotted and the valve was rusted shut. The fire continued, spreading from the bin to the papers, oily floors, and garments scattered around the factory, and concern quickly grew to complete panic. Some of the young women on the floor of the fire escaped by elevator, which could only hold 12 people at a time, abandoning many of the workers and leaving them to either die or jump down the shaft. After the elevator broke down following its fourth trip. After the girls realized that the elevator had broken, they rushed to the stairwells, only to find a locked door, leaving them to eventually burn alive. Even more women resorted to simply jumping from the increasingly smoky buildings to their deaths, falling on fire hoses and faulty safety nets. Even worse, the firefighters' ladders could only reach the seventh floor, one floor short of where they needed to be, allowing the men to only watch the gruesome event. The lucky individuals, including the owners of the building and the upper floor workers, climbed to the roof and into surrounding buildings. While a few were lucky, most were not. Occurring in the time frame of a short 18 minutes, 146 workers died, most from jumping. The oldest victim at 43 was Providencia Pano, and the youngest victims at 14 were Kate Leone and Sarah Rosaria Maltese. Just 3 months after the fire, both owners were indicted for first and second degree manslaughter, but eventually found innocent for their crimes. A prominent union activist of the time, Rose Schneiderman, led the fight for strong workers' rights with a supporting body made up of largely of members of the Women's Trade Union League and the International League Ladies Garments Workers Unions. All called for a strong movement to pressure government officials to pass legislation improving working conditions. Used as a catalyst for much-needed change, the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire ultimately resulted in groups such as the Committee on Public Safety and the Factory Investigating Commission to form, both of which denounced extreme working conditions and pushed legislation to improve fire safety and prevention of injury in factories. Spreading throughout the nation, the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire's influence launched society into a time focused more on worker safety and rights and less on business profit, as many viewed the fire as a catastrophic result of extreme industrialism and capitalism. If anything, the fire proved to be the most influential event in regards to workers' rights in the 20th century, though whose impact still resonates today in the many workers' rights laws and unions.